You know that feeling when somebody comes along and they're texting you good morning before you've even gotten out of bed? They're making plans 3 weekends out. They're telling you how different you are, how you're the one that they've been looking for. And there's this part of you that's like, oh my god, finally somebody knows what they want. I finally found someone that's not playing games, and you feel so chosen and so special, and it feels so good that you don't want to question it. So you don't. And that's exactly how it worked. Because love bombing doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like it's like a reward. And by the time that the behavior shifts, and it does always shift, you're already so attached to the version of them that showed up at the beginning that you spend months trying to get back to that person instead of just leaving. But here's what I genuinely think nobody talks about enough. Not every person who moves fast is love bombing you, and knowing the difference is actually everything. Because if you're so scared of intensity that you push away anybody who's like excited about you, then you might actually miss genuinely good people. So today we are going to figure out how to tell the difference. And I mean like actually tell the difference. By the end of this episode, you're going to understand exactly why love bombing actually works on very smart, very self-educated people. You're going to have the one test that actually tells you what you're dealing with, and you're going to have something concrete you can do right now so that if it happens again, you are not starting from ground zero. Before we get into it, if you don't know me, my name's Haley. I'm on a mission to become my best self. I'm obsessed with all things fitness, healing, and productivity, and this is Healing with Hale. In this season, we are focused on escaping toxic environments, so all episodes are geared towards helping you find your way out of whatever toxicity might be around you. And honestly, learning to avoid a love bomber is one of the easiest ways to save yourself from toxicity, so let's get into it. We're going to cover this in 3 parts. First, I want to talk about what love bombing actually is, because I think we've oversimplified it just a little bit. Then I'm going to tell you how to tell the difference between that and when someone's actually genuinely interested in you. And then we're going to talk about what the fuck to do with all this information. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say, and I think this actually gets missed a lot, is that love bombing is not exclusive to narcissists. And I don't think that it's always like very calculated and deliberate and like evil, which I do think makes it a little bit harder to identify. Obviously, there is the version where someone is deliberately using intensity and grand gestures to try to fast track your attachment towards them so that they can control you later. And that version is real, we are definitely going to talk about it. But there's also a version where somebody love bombs you because like they're so insecure and they're so terrified of losing you that they feel like they have to give everything up just to keep you interested. They might not be doing it to manipulate you, like they might just be a very anxiously attached person and they don't know how to just have a normal relationship pace. And both of these things are a problem, but they are two very different kinds of problems. And understanding which one you're dealing with changes how you are going to react. Like when I was 17 years old and there was a 22-year-old boy who was interested in me, I was just like, oh my god, like he's doing all these things because he's so much older and so much more mature and he knows what he wants. Like he's obviously not love bombing me or doing this to control me. And I look back on that and I'm like, what business does a 22-year-old man have with a 17-year-old girl? And the real problem with love bombers is that after that, going into a normal, steady relationship actually feels way harder because you're used to this insane intensity and like almost chaos that comes from being with someone who is love bombing you. The other thing is I think a lot of people assume love bombers are always using like really grand gestures or gifts like flowers and trip, and those can obviously be a part of it, but the real identifier of a love bomber is just the speed. Like the pace that somebody is trying to convince you that this is it, like this is the one, like the future is already decided before you've even had a chance to actually get to know them. And that speed is what creates the attachment before you've actually had the chance to make any logical thoughts about this. And the reason that love bombing works on very smart people is that it doesn't feel like it's a trap. It genuinely feels like a reward, like you're finally getting what you deserve. And that feeling will override all of the logical parts of your brain if you let it. So how do you actually tell the difference? Because some people just know exactly what they want and they're not afraid to say it. And that's not necessarily love bombing. That's just someone who's done enough work and knows exactly what they want and doesn't want to play games. So let's talk about how you actually tell the difference between that and a love bomber. The real difference is not about the level of work that somebody puts in early on. It's about whether their promises actually align with their actions over time. And more specifically, whether or not the intensity stays consistent or if it's just being used to cover up something else. Like a person who is genuinely excited to get to know you will, yes, probably do very nice things for you, but they're also going to treat you well in the in-between moment. Like they're not just showing up with all of these big grand gestures and then not texting you back for 2 days. The way that they talk to you when they've maybe had a bad day at work or maybe when they're really busy is consistent with the way that they talk to you when they are on a trip with you or taking you out to a nice dinner. Consistency is the thing that you need to pay attention to, not necessarily the level of effort. A love bomber will almost always have a gap between their big grand gestures and like the day-to-day moment. And once you know to look for that gap, it becomes almost impossible to not see it. Now, when it comes to a deliberate love bomber versus like maybe a very anxiously attached love bomber, the way to tell the difference here is in how they react to you saying that you need to slow down or that you need a little bit of space. The anxious love bomber will take this and panic. Like they're probably going to actually start doing more things for you because they are just so desperate to not lose you that they're going to be like, well, no, I could do do this differently. I could actually, like, maybe I should do this instead. Because their fear of losing you is what's driving the escalation. And it wasn't really ever about you or like giving you what you need. It was about them trying to manage their own anxiety by bombarding you with love. The deliberate love bomber, when you tell them that you need space, will often shift completely. Either they're gonna get controlling, they might even go cold or like give you the silent treatment, or they're gonna try to like punish you for not matching their energy. And that is the sign that you need, because that just proves that what they're doing really was just a facade, and like now you're starting to see what's actually underneath it. And now there is also a time where someone's an anxious love bomber and a controlling love bomber merge into one person. And this is the situation that I experienced when I was 17 and I had a 22-year-old boy who was obsessed with me. And while I did have a weird feeling that it was like maybe a little bit too much and maybe he was coming on a little bit too strong, we ended up going in so many cycles of me being like, okay, I actually need space, like, oh my god, I need a little bit of time. And then he would just like overly attach himself to me. I could literally block this man. He would send me emails. He would like find any way to get through to me. So much so that one of the breaks that I tried to put us on, he literally broke into my car to leave me flowers. And the problem was that a younger version of me had been dreaming of somebody to like show me affection, show me all of like the grand gestures. There was a part of me that was just trying to figure out how to manage it instead of just leaving. Because even if he was just an anxious love bomber and not a manipulative love bomber, that's still not my problem. That's still not something that I need to try to fix or that I need to try to like heal this person from. Like, that is not my business. And I genuinely wish that somebody had told me at 17, like, this is not your problem. Intensity does not equal love, and you are allowed to leave. Just because someone loves you and because somebody is obsessed with you and like wants to be with you does not mean that you owe them that right to actually be with you. Don't think we forgot about the guy who just like genuinely knows what he wants, you know, and maybe he's a little bit too much at first, but he actually means well and he genuinely just likes you. There is really nothing wrong with that. This might just be somebody who has genuinely done all the work to know exactly what they want in a relationship, and you seem to be checking those boxes for them. But if you're so hyper-vigilant from your past experiences that you go, oh my god, this is a love bomber, I have to get away from him, like, oh my god, stay away, then you might actually miss out on some really good people that might not actually be as toxic as you're making them out to be. So I know there's a lot of different options here, right? And if you've ever been like, I just want to know if I'm being love bombed right now, the answer is simple. You're gonna tell them to chill the fuck out. And I mean that very literally, because this is the one test that will tell you everything you need to know, and it's genuinely this simple. Like, early on, if you feel like things are moving a little bit too fast and maybe you're a little bit overwhelmed, just genuinely be like, hey, I'm feeling like really overwhelmed by this, like this is kind of a lot for me, I'm not used to this, like do you mind if we kind of slow things down a little bit? And then just watch what happens. Because the response to that one sentence is more information than you would have got from 6 months of grand gestures and gifts and confusing little love notes and things like that. If they listen, if they adjust, if they can have an honest conversation with you about the pace without making you feel guilty about it, then they were probably just excited. And that's actually fine. That's a workable thing, and it's someone who can actually hear you out and take accountability for something, and that is a green flag. Now, if they get defensive, or if they flip it back on you, or if the warmth just like completely disappears and they get maybe super angry, then you also have your answer, and you have to put that answer above everything else that they have ever done for you. Because this one response is going to tell you how they would handle your needs in the future the moment that something becomes inconvenient to them. And the last and most important thing that you need to do, whether you're already dealing with love bombers, whether you've dealt with love bombers in the past, or you've never dealt with a love bomber and you're scared that you might in the future, you have to pour into your own cup before somebody has the chance to fill it up for you. Because this is one of the most preventative and most underrated ways to make sure that you don't actually end up with a love bomber. Because the reason a lot of love bombing works is that they're giving you something that you are literally starving for. Like, you want validation, you want love, you want affection, and then someone comes and gives these things to you. So then your defenses go down really fast because it's like somebody giving you water when you're dehydrated. So the prep work is to start giving yourself things that love bombers tend to use on other people. That way they can't catch you with these things. So start taking yourself out, buying yourself gifts, buying yourself flowers, actually doing the things that you've been waiting for a partner or for somebody else to come in and do for you. Because when you're already feeling chosen by yourself, someone else's intensity isn't going to hit the same way. It's not going to feel like, oh my god, finally I got what I needed. It's just going to feel normal. And then they're not going to be able to actually love bomb you because you're not going to be falling over their heels like obsessed with them for doing these things for you. You're just going to be like, oh, okay, cool, thanks. And that's going to completely throw them off their game, and also will help you suss them out very early on. The thing that I want you to remember from this episode is that intensity is not intimacy, and speed is not certainty. And someone moving very fast towards you is only a good sign if their actions hold up when you ask them to slow down. So your task for this week is to take yourself out to do one thing that you have been waiting for somebody else to do for you. Whether that's dinner, a trip, buying yourself that thing that's been sitting in your cart for 3 weeks, watching the sunset, like whatever it is, do it for yourself this week. Because the goal is to get so good at choosing yourself that when someone comes along to try to love bomb you, you can see it for what it actually is, instead of getting sucked in. If you've ever had the misfortune of being sucked in by a love bomber, I hope this episode helped you see that you were not the problem. And if this video gave you the courage to leave a love bomber, I would love to hear all the tea on it. So you can DM me on Instagram and we can yap all about it. Until next time, be kind to your mind, to your body, and to others, and happy healing.